Hi guys, welcome back to another fight card prediction. We're going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night 93 from Hamburg, Germany, as Andrei Arlovski faces off against Josh Barnett in your main event here. Overall, it's just a kind of bog standard European card. Excited to see some guys come in, and some people I really don't think should be in, but we'll get into that in a second. As always, follow the good guys down below me. You can see them there. There's links there. We'll take you to their websites, their YouTube pages, their Twitter pages, the websites, just whatever. Go follow those guys and show your support for them as well. UFC betting charts on Facebook, a great group on there. We're kind of starting to roll into getting these picks right, which is great. Great to be a part of as well. And as always, you can follow my betting, which I had a horrific weekend. I literally lost all my profit from UFC 202 last week there. And you can follow me on Twitter at WillMartin7MMA. So we're going to get straight into this card. We're starting off in the women's bantamweight division. If we have Ashlee Evans-Smith facing off against Veronica Macedo. We'll start with Ashlee Evans-Smith. I thought a girl I actually quite like watch fight. I thought she was very scrappy against Marie Monroe. I don't think she should have won that fight personally. That's just me. I think I picked Evans-Smith in that one, but it was a little bit, I thought Renault deserved the decision more there. Overall, kind of scrappy girl, was doing well against Raquel Pennington until she got caught in that submission there. And she's got herself I didn't really like her matchup before. She had Germaine de Randamie in this fight, and she's coming off a great win in Holland herself. So I was probably going to pick Germaine de Randamie in that, just the fact she's on a little bit of a roll. She did look very good in the fight. But she's got a promotional newcomer here in Veronica Macedo. Now, a lot of people might actually seen this girl before. There's a clip floating around of her with a vicious head kick knockout. It was actually back in her amateur days last year, because she hasn't been a pro very long, and people were saying, oh, she should sign for the UFC when she hasn't fought any pro fights. That's not really going to happen. My friend actually fought in the same card as that. He let me know a while back, and then we spoke about it recently. He fought in the same card that night. So, and you'll see that if you put in YouTube Veronica Macedo, you will see that this knockout here. Overall, she's a pretty scrappy girl. I mean, some decent kicks. On the ground, she caught a vicious leg lock against Karen Gergovian, and looks okay down there, but she does get taken down very, very easily. And Evans, I think, just being the bigger, kind of taller, bulkier girl, I think will take her down fairly easily. I think if there was a 125 division, a flyweight division, she would be great down in that one there. I think she might struggle to hit 115. She is only 20 years old. Last fight she drew that fight. I think it was over 25 minutes, and it was very, very close, and it ended up in a draw. Fights out of Poznan in Poland under the same gym as Matthias Gamrot. Very beautiful girl. She's going to be a really good fighter, I think, in a few years' time. I just don't think her time is now. I mean, she's only been a pro for 6 months, and she's had 6 fights in that, so she's still very, very green as a professional, to be honest with you. Trained at Nova União for a little bit as well. I think she was there for about 6 months, but this is a little bit too soon in my opinion, so that's why I'm going to pick Ashlee Evans-Smith. Do I think she can potentially go the 3 rounds? I do, so that's why I'm going to pick Evans-Smith via a decision victory here. Featherweight division with Martin Buschkamp against Alex Enlund. Martin Buschkamp, never heard anything about this guy. Went and watched some tape on him, and nothing particularly really stands out to me regarding Martin Buschkamp. He really wants to try and get the fight to the mat, put it against the cage. Doesn't really offer much on the feet. I don't think really either guy really does here, to be honest with you. So I think both these guys will want to take the fight to the ground, and we'll see which guy's got the better grappling credentials. Saw his fights. He's very top heavy. Once he gets you down there, he will look to transition and find the back if he can. He's got a really good rear naked choke, but he's against Alex Enlund here, who I think is just a little bit more of a better kind of technical grappler than Martin Buschkamp, and he's got the more experience. I mean, he's the former Cage Warriors world champion as well. His last few fights, I mean, Rafael Diaz, a veteran, trained out the Black Zillions, who fought in the WC way back in the day. Really, he's got some. He's a great jiu-jitsu guy. Got his black belt through, I think it's Carson Gracie, I believe it is. Or it was Carson Gracie, a disciple of his that passed on the black belt to him, so he's got a really good lineage of getting that black belt. and Alex Enlund took this guy to the ground and really went into his kind of his wheel lock there and just kind of went in and started to really work him on the ground there, stop the submissions of Diaz, and then eventually it was a really weird finish in that one because they got put back to their feet, and then I think he pulled a hamstring in his leg, so that was there. Then he beat Paulo Boa, he just caught him with that rear naked choke. Enlund, really good guy on the ground, he transitions very, very well, and he's very kind of heavy on you in there. I just think the fight will go at the ground, and I think that Enlund's more experience on the ground will be too much for Martin Bushman there. So I'm going to pick another decision victory there for Alex Enlund. Lightweight division with Rustam Khabilov against Leandro Silva. This is going to be Khabilov. I don't know how anybody can really pick Leandro Silva in this fight because he is pretty bad takedown defense. And what's Rustam Khabilov kind of known for? Takedowns. He did that in London against Norman Park earlier in the year. I just believe this is going to be a repeat of that kind of fight where he's going to take him to the ground. Silva might be good enough to get the fight back on to the feet, but I just don't see it. I can see Khabilov just rinse, repeat. In fact, he beat Chris Wade in that time as well in Rotterdam, and he kind of did the same there. My pick's going to be Rustam Khabilov. I'm not going to get into it too much. Silva's coming off that loss against Leandro, Jessin Sago, and he got taken down in that win as well, and he got beat up in the feet a little bit. He never really had any advantage in that fight. Khabilov is going to take this guy down repeatedly, I think, and do so very convincingly for a 30-27 across the board. So Khabilov's my pick there. Middleweight division, Scott Askham against Jack Hermansson. This is going to be a good fight. Probably one of the closest fights in the entire card. Scott Askham, a really nice guy, a good fighter. He's got some definitive skills on the feet, a really long range striker. His grappling is definitely improving ever since he's come into the UFC. He showed that, and he's trading wins and losses at the minute, coming off that devastating knockout of Chris Dempsey back in London where he won himself a performance bonus. That was a really good knockout, a really fun looking knockout to have in your kind of resume there. And he was supposed to fight in the summer against Anthony Smith during round about UFC 200, pulled out, got injured in that one, and then he got given this matchup against Hermansson here. Before that, lost to Yotko, who is coming into his own in the middleweight division, beat Dos Santos Jr. in Berlin with a beautiful knockout, and then he lost to Magnus Sierenblad there. Jack Hermansson's a guy who, if you're a European kind of fan, he was a former Cage Warriors champion, and just a kind of all around really good fighter, and a really good offensive wrestler. And I think this is where he will look to do this. He'll look to kind of take it and keep it kind of dirty, put you against the cage, and look to kind of beat you up in the clinch. And once it goes to the ground there, he's very hard to kind of get off you. Really good, as I say, really good offensive wrestling, very good top position. But Scott Askham has shown in his last few fights, maybe not so much the last one, but the Yotko fight, that he has got some decent takedown defense. So this is why I think it's going to be very, very close. I think on the feet, Askham definitely is the more accomplished striker. I think he's probably the heavier hitter as well. But Jack Hermansson, I think if this goes to the ground and he can put Askham's back on the mat, I think he can win this fight. Been going back and forth in this one. It's a coin flip fight for me. I'm going to go Jack Hermansson. I think eventually, once I know it's his UFC debut and there might be some jitters with that, but I think he's got enough to put him against the cage and take him down and keep him there and pick apart shots. I think he's the better submission guy as well. But close fight. I'm not confident. I won't be betting that fight at all. But my pick will be Jack Hermansson. Very, very close split decision. Heavyweight division, Jarjis Danho against Christian Colombo. Christian Colombo, this guy, really I don't think has any right being in the UFC. I know he's got an 8-1 record. His only losses to Victor Pesta. He lost to Ilir Latifi way back in amateur, so he got submitted there as well. But this guy is not good. This is 2 year lower level heavyweights anyway, but Christian Colombo is not a good looking fighter. doesn't. He looks to kind of put you in the clinch and kind of beat you up from there. He tried to do that with Pesta. Pesta just took him down easily and submitted him. I don't think he fought for 3 years, came back. He is 36 years old, big guy, 6'5", and he fought a newcomer, a newbie to the kind of professional ranks with a 0-0 record in Tom Sasaki, and then he's coming into UFC here. The reason I think he's been brought into UFC is just to give Danho a win. Danho's not overly great in anything either, but he did give Daniel Omielanchuk, who's a grizzled UFC heavyweight, a really good fight, and that's the reason I'm going to pick him in this one, because I mean, both guys don't show me much, but Daniel showed me that he's tough to go 3 rounds hard and never kind of give up, and he's got that experience there. I just think he hits harder as well. Danho can definitely finish this if it goes to the ground, which I think it will do. It's a heavyweight fight, so anything can happen, but my pick's going to be Jarjis Danho. I think he's been brought in here well and truly for Daniel to get a win, so I'm going to go a TKO victory in round number 2 for Jarjis Danho. Bantamweight division, Taylor Lapilus against Leandro Issa. Another great fight for the European here. I think this is definitely a fight for Lapilus to get back on the win column here. Got a little bit too cocky for my liking against Guito Perez, and Perez is just a really solid all-round fighter himself. Lapilus, great footwork, powerful for the 135 division, can hurt a lot of guys down there. Just needs to put it all together and kind of stop with the cockiness. I'm a fan of some of that, but when you're doing it in a fight where you're losing, you need to cut that shit out. You can't be doing stuff like that. Issa, on the other hand, he's coming off that loss. He beat Ulka Sasaki, I remember, via a submission with that beautiful neck crank. But I think he's coming off the loss to Alcantara in a fight which was not great, and I will not ever be watching that fight ever again. Beat Sasaki, beat Jumabek Tarshawn, and lost his UFC debut to Russell Doan via submission. I think Taylor Lapilus can knock this guy out. I think he's just a more skilled striker, quicker, more athletic. So my pick will be Taylor Lapilus via TKO in the kind of later, maybe late first round, early second round. I'll go late first round for Taylor Lapilus. Welterweight division with Peter Sobotta against Nicholas Dalby. I think this is a do-or-die fight pretty much for Peter Sobotta. But I like the matchup for Nicholas Dalby. I think on the feet he's got a clear advantage there, and I don't like the way that Sobotta took that knockout against Kyle Noak. Got kicked in the stomach and he went down. I think Dalby has got that in his repertoire. We've seen that back in the Cage Warriors day against Churilov when he head kicked him there. But Dalby's a tough guy to kind of face. He did alright against Zach Cummins. I thought that was a step up. Did okay, lost the fight, but he showed a lot of heart like he did in the Dan Till fight. Was clearly down in probably a couple of rounds and came back with a 10-8 to draw the fight. Never gives up, and he's just a really solid all-round fighter, and a fighter I actually really like watching a lot. Sobotta's one going to have to take. He wants to take this to the ground. This is where he will win. His jiu-jitsu is pretty decent down there. I think he's kind of full-time training now with Yotko, so he's helping him out quite a bit. So maybe that might spur him on here. I just don't see him getting it to the ground, though. I think Dalby's got really good takedown defense, and on the feet, I think that Dalby's just a more dynamic striker, the better striker, and I just think he's tougher overall. So I know it's in Germany, and that's something you've always got to be worried about if it goes to decision, but I am going to pick Nicholas Dalby via decision. I'm probably going to bet Nicholas Dalby. In fact, I will bet Nicholas Dalby because I think he's plus money at the minute. I think it was plus 110 I saw within the last couple of hours, so we'll have a look at that. So Dalby via decision for me there. Welterweight division, we're staying in there. We have Jessin Ayari making his UFC debut against another UFC debutant in judo, Jim Wallhead. Now, honestly, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really think I'd ever say that. If you don't know who Jim Wallhead is, there is tons of fight on Cage Warriors, on the Cage Warriors YouTube channel, just on YouTube in general. This guy's got about 40, maybe even close to 50 fights. I think it's 40 fights. I think he's 29-9 with a couple of no contests. Just a really tough guy, really good fighter to watch. He's a Cage Warriors legend pretty much. He's fought predominantly most of his career there fought in Bama, fought in Bellator, lost a couple of times in there. But he's on a 4-fight win streak at the minute. After that loss to fellow UFC welterweight Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts. He got knocked out in that fight with a beautiful shot, to be fair, from Roberts, and since then he's went on with a win over Manuel Suarez, the guy who's known out here in Europe, and then a brutal knockout of Rodrigo Ribeiro in Abu Dhabi, and then he knocked out oh my god, I can't remember his name, Gennady Kovalev. I don't know how I forgot that, because it's two boxers kind of names, in Russia. Just a really solid all-around fight, and he's a guy that's been around for a long time. He's a main sparring partner for Michael Venom Page in Bellator, who I think is going to be cornering in this fight here. And that's a great guy to be sparring with. I know that a lot of people are going on at Michael Venom Page. I'm kind of one of them, about the people that he faces. But if you can spar with that guy, it's going to help you out exponentially. Landing jabs. If you can land a jab or a punch on Michael Venom Page, you're going to land it in most people. Jessin Ayari, okay, doesn't really jump out in anything that I see of his game. Looks to kind of keep it in the clinch and kind of rough you up a little bit, but I think that Jim Wallhead can knock this guy out. I think if he's got the power in his hands, if he can keep it there, he can definitely hurt Ayari. I think Ayari's going to want to clinch with Jimmy in this one, but I think that Wallhead has the striking to really keep this in his territory where he can win the fight. And I think Ayari's 3 losses as well are all finishes, so I think a finish might be what it is here. He's coming off a win over Ayari's coming off a win over Mikel Labute, a former UFC veteran. I just like Judo Jimmy in this one. I think he's going to catch something and knock him out. So I'm going to go around TKO round number 1 for Jim Wallhead. So moving on to the main card, the 4-fight main card in UFC Fight Pass. Nick Hein against Hyun Bang. Been going back and forth in this one a little bit because, I mean, Nick Hein, all his fights go to decision, so you can see he's a very kind of grizzled kind of veteran, really, you could say that. He doesn't really show much. He's got a judo background, doesn't really show that. Decent in the first round, then kind of gasses out as the fight goes on, but he's got an opponent here in Hyun Bang who's probably not want to go at the ground. He wants to keep us in the feet, and it's probably the more crisp guy that will win this fight. I mean, Hyun Bang, he beat Leo Kuntz last time out. It was a weird fight, that, because the bet lines changed dramatically. It was a weird thing. He won the fight nonetheless. But I like Nick Hein in this one. I just think if he can get the fight to the ground, I don't think Bang will be able to get back to his feet. And I think he's just got enough on the feet to really... I think he's just the crisper striker. Bang comes forward, throws a big right hand. That's all he kind of looks for. Goes to decision. There's no way that Bang's going to get this, not unless he really puts a beating on Nick Hein. It's got to be Nick Hein via decision. Light heavyweight division. Ryan Bader against Ilir Latifi. Interesting fight, really interesting fight. A big fight here, I think, for Ryan Bader. He needs to see where he is in this 205 division, because Latifi is a really tough guy that can put your lights out very, very quickly. And I think that Bader, he has had chin issues. I still think he has got them, but yeah, I've already bet Ilir Latifi, so I think you know what my pick's going to be. Latifi, I think, will win the fight. Bader, I was thoroughly impressed with his fight against Rashad Evans. Showed improved hands there. And then his footwork as well was something that I noticed in that fight. Very, very good. Came out and just wanted none or Rumble Johnson, like many other 205ers. And went to sleep in that one. Oh, it's interesting, this one, because we all know Latifi, I mean, he's coming off that win over Gian Villante. And he hits like a sledgehammer, like his nickname says so. But Ryan Bader's got really good wrestling, but I don't see him taking down Latifi. I think he can take down Latifi, but I think Latifi's just going to plant his feet and really just kind of keep himself there, keep himself on his feet, where I think he's definitely got the power advantage. He's not going to have the reach advantage in this one, definitely not, because he's a small 205er. But I say at the beginning of the week, kind of in the middle of last week, I was going back and forward in this. I was actually going to pick Ryan Bader. and then I'll watch some of Latifi's fights again, and I just think he's going to catch Ryan Bader coming in with something and put him to sleep. So I'm going to go Ilir Latifi via round 2 knockout. As I say, I think Bader's going to come in for a shot and he's going to eat something and go to sleep, and Latifi's dangerous with that. We've seen that against Chris Dempsey. He went in for something and then got put to sleep there. So Ilir Latifi round 2 TKO. Co-main event of the night, the return of the Mauler, Alexander Gustafsson against Jan Blachowicz. Gustafsson is going to be my pick here. I think this is a level or two above anything that Jan Blachowicz has ever faced, and Alexander Gustafsson is in that top. He is the number 4 best light heavyweight in the world, without a doubt. There is Jones, there is Cormier, there is Rumble, and then there's Alexander Gustafsson, who will give any of those guys a great fight. We've seen that against Cormier and Jones, very close fights, brilliant fights. And then Rumble Johnson, we've seen what happened with that when he got clipped with Rumble, and that's what happens if you get clipped with that guy. You're gonna know about it, and you're gonna be waking up looking at the lights in the ceiling. So in the matchup, I mean, Blachowicz, I thought last time out he should have really took out Igor Pokrajic. Pokrajic had his chances in that fight and really could have won that fight in Croatia. Blachowicz, I don't think, fought very well, kind of fight IQ wise, and kind of played into the wheelhouse of Pokrajic, but I don't see it in this one. I think Gustafsson's going to come out, be light in the feet, he's going to move around, and he's going to find that shot that's going to put Blachowicz down. So my pick will be Alexander Gustafsson. I mean, I just went and watched these fights with Cormier, not really so much the Jones one, but the Cormier one. He showed so much grit and heart, like he did in the John Jones fight, but he's so hard to pick against. I can't pick against him here, I don't think. He has been talking about retirement, which is kind of flagged me a little bit, but I like him in this fight. I think he's a level or 2 above Jan Blachowicz. So I'm going to go a TKO victory in round number 1 for the Mauler. And the main event of the night, we have Andrei Arlovski against Josh Barnett. Can't believe this fight's taken place in 2016, considering how long these guys have been around. They're in different companies, same companies together. So yeah, this is another coin flip fight for me. I've been going back and forth on this for a good week or so, as I was thinking about these predictions. Andrei Arlovski, both guys now that are not going to fight for a championship, I don't believe, not unless one of them makes another run again. I just don't see. I think Arlovski's shot went out the door when he lost to Overeem, and the same with Barnett when he lost to Rothwell. We all know what Josh Barnett wants to do. He wants to put you against the cage, take you down, just kind of grind on you, look for his submissions once he goes down there. Has shown decent striking since coming back to the UFC, especially against Roy Nelson. I thought that was a fight where he put him against the cage and really beat him up a little bit. Arlovski kind of went for it in that fight against Overeem and got caught and got put to sleep back in May. Must admit, it was a nice shot from Overeem here. I mean, I have been going back and forth on this one. Something's telling me to pick Josh Barnett, but I just think that Arlovski could catch him with something, and it's over 5 rounds. So will that kind of power stay with Arlovski all the way through the fight? We know Josh Barnett can go 5 rounds and grind on you. That's what it is. Barnett via grinding wrestling kind of style, or Andrei Arlovski. I'm going to go Josh Barnett. I think he's going to get through the first round. It might be a little bit hairy with Arlovski here, but I think he's going to get takedowns, and I think he's going to just beat Arlovski up on the ground down there. But Arlovski, to his credit, has got pretty good takedown defense. I'm going to go Josh Barnett via round 4 TKO victory. I think I might regret that one a little bit, because I think Arlovski definitely has the firepower to put Josh Barnett down. Official pick's going to be Josh Barnett via TKO round number 4. So I say that's my picks for UFC Fight Night 93 from Hamburg. I'll be back, probably I'm going to film it this Thursday or so for UFC 203 in Cleveland as Miocic faces off against Overeem for the heavyweight title, and we have the debut of CM Punk, so keep an eye on that. As always, follow the good guys down below me there, and come follow me on Twitter Capper Tech, you can come tail my bets there. Leave your comments below with who you think will win the fight here. I think it's a pretty okay card. I don't think I'll be able to watch much because I will be working, but I will catch up with it late at night. But leave your comments below there and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'll be back for 2 or 3 later in the week. Take care and I will see you all very, very soon.